There was a night. The moon was shining. A dark sorcerer wearing a tattered cloak wandered into his gloomy house. She clearly anticipated something wicked. In a large room, a beautiful girl hung from chains near the ceiling. I dreaded what the terrifying dark sorcerer intended to do with her. The terrified girl wept, unable to utter a word as her mouth was gagged. "You have the great honor to enjoy this," said the dark sorcerer, pulling the chain. The girl began descending slowly. Below, I awaited her in a cauldron filled with venomous snakes, centipedes, and other crawling creatures. How terrified she must have been. As her feet touched the water, a huge cobra wrapped itself around her partially exposed body. "Look at this! It is infatuated with your tender and supple form," the dark sorcerer said. "Don't worry, it won't devour you," the dark sorcerer sneered. "It will feed you instead." The fearsome serpent slightly opened its venomous jaws, revealing its menacing fangs, and lunged at the girl. The dark sorcerer performed a metamorphic ritual over the young victim, planning to transform her into something else. 7 days later, a heavy downpour accompanied by thunder ensued. The dark sorcerer returned to the same house. She overturned the cauldron, causing dead snakes and scorpions to spill out, along with the lifeless, naked young victim of the dark sorcerer. The dark sorcerer expected her to awaken now. According to her plan, that's how it was supposed to happen. She tried to wake her up. Her heart didn't beat. The dark sorcerer grew furious as everything went awry. Out of anger, she struck the girl's head against the floor. "This is a complete failure!" the dark sorcerer exclaimed, blaming the girl for everything. She felt no remorse for the girl. She mourned her poisonous pets instead. In a fit of rage, the dark sorcerer cursed everything and vowed to kill all 7 girls. Then she departed, leaving the lifeless, naked body of the girl lying on the floor. "Family," echoed through the room, and the girl opened her eyes. Thunder roared, and lightning illuminated the sky. The pouring rain flooded the surroundings. In one of the houses, a woman prayed to God for her daughter. She was the only child in the family, and her mother was terribly worried about her. A search party with dogs entered the house. However, all their attempts to find Ling Er, that was the young girl's name, were in vain. The rain had washed away all the roads, and it was too dangerous to venture into the mountains and rivers. Nevertheless, the leader of the search party promised to continue the search the next day. The mother blamed herself in despair, but footsteps could be heard in the courtyard. The girl crawled home with her last bit of strength. The dogs barked and attracted the attention of the people in the house. "Mother!" a voice was heard from the courtyard. "I've returned." The naked girl barely stood on her feet. Drops of rain ran down her pale body, and her eyes burned with a demonic red flame. "Is it really my baby?" exclaimed the shocked mother. However, the father grabbed her by the shoulder. He didn't recognize his daughter in this girl and decided to drive her away, giving orders to his people. Armed with sticks, the men attacked the defenseless, naked girl, barely standing on her feet. One of them shoved her in the shoulder. But then something strange happened to him. His arm disintegrated before their eyes. Blood flowed from his mouth and eyes. They were horrified by what they witnessed. The poor man simply fell apart into pieces. "Monster!" they screamed. Mother rushed to save the girl, but the enraged people couldn't be stopped anymore. They awakened a terrible fury in the resurrected girl. She screamed like a cursed banshee, and her scream killed everything alive around her. The white man passing by heard this anomalous phenomenon. The images of her parents came to the girl in her dreams. Moments were imprinted in her memory, like when she returned home and her parents didn't recognize her, seeing a monster in her and dying by her hand. "You monster!" echoed in her mind. She remembered how the dark sorcerer pulled her out of the cauldron, how she awakened her, turning her into this monster. She woke up underwater. Emerging, she screamed. The white man was nearby, and he told her that 7 days had passed while noting something in his notebook. She didn't understand who he was and where she was. The white man muttered about components. It seemed he was experimenting with some medicine. "What are you doing to me?" the girl asked. "I'm trying to cure you," the man replied. The treatment was yielding results, but the poison still left marks on her skin. The girl didn't want to lie down. She wanted to go home. The healer warned her that it could be dangerous and she might take a few more lives. The girl still didn't understand what was happening. The man explained to her that a spell had been cast on her, and any living being she came into contact with would die, just like what happened to those people in the mansion. The girl remembered that she had killed them, and in her wild horror realized that she had killed her parents. Due to excessive agitation, poison started oozing from her skin, which splashed onto the healer. Blood came out of his mouth. Luckily, he had taken the antidote beforehand. The healer didn't expect the poison to penetrate so deeply into her flesh and blood. Removing it would be harder than anticipated. They brought needles, and the man threw them at the girl, deciding to puncture her breathing. Tears burst from the girl's eyes. "I am unworthy of being saved by you," she said, falling into the water. The white-clad man took the naked body out of the bathtub and laid her on the bed. To his surprise, her face was flushed, completely clean. Even her wounds had healed. He didn't fully understand what had happened, but he saw pieces of poisoned skin in the bathtub that she seemed to have shed. It seemed she had freed herself from the spell and been reborn. It seemed the healer succeeded. Early in the morning, the girl was awakened by leaves blowing into the room. The warm summer wind blew her away from the tree. No one was nearby. She looked in the mirror and realized she had been healed. Tears of joy streamed down her cheeks. Then her healer entered the room. "Stop wiping your tears with my clothes," he said. "Your clothes?" The girl blushed. She realized that he had seen her naked, brought her home without permission, and called himself her doctor. What was she thinking? She should have thanked him for the difficult work he had done. Blood started flowing from the doctor's nose. "Pervert! You're bleeding from your nose," the girl said, feeling embarrassed. "It's all poison. It's coming out of my body," the doctor replied. He went to get the antidote. In the 2 weeks while he was healing her, he got poisoned 8 times. The doctor suspected that although her skin had cleared, the poison had likely remained deep in her bones. It seemed the girl could control the poison in her body at will, and its effect depended on her emotional state. The doctor played his part by providing the antidote. He would have to continue repairing Ling Er's damages for a long time. He wanted to test a new medicine on her. The girl considered herself a monster and believed she was doomed. But the doctor assured her that he had many medicines. He just needed to find the right antidote. The doctor handed her a laxative. "But I'll have diarrhea," the girl exclaimed. "By doing so, the poison will leave your body, you'll cleanse your system, and lose a couple of kilograms. You'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone," the doctor replied. The doctor also explained that the poison was present in 5 of her organs and manifested through all her emotions. To avoid harming anyone, it was necessary to remain calm. But then the girl turned around and saw a mouse. Startled by it, she lunged at the doctor and knocked him to the floor. They ended up lying on top of each other with the girl on top. She poisoned the doctor again. He asked her to get off him and went to drink the antidote. He ordered her to take the medicine and said that they would then go to the mountains to gather herbs. The girl was afraid to leave the house, fearing the consequences, but the doctor assured her that he would be by her side and protect her. For a moment, the girl wondered why he was helping her so politely. But then he said that she didn't live with him for no reason and that she would still have to settle her debts. The girl, noticeably nervous in the presence of many people. She hid her face behind fabric and sought refuge behind the doctor. He calmed her, holding her hand. She wondered how he could hold her hand like that. He continued his attempts to balance the girl's emotions, but his words somehow irritated her even more. He tried his best because he understood that if the girl lost control, there would be trouble. Despite knowing that taking risks in society now was dangerous, he still tried to help her adapt. On their way, they encountered a grandmother who mistook the girl for the doctor's wife. The couple tried to deny it in every possible way, but they were holding hands for everyone to see. The guy interrupted the awkward conversation and sent the grandmother home to rest. The old woman treated them to eggs, and I made a funny joke that embarrassed the couple even more. The doctor worried that such conversations would make the girl lose control of her emotions, but to his surprise, she managed to handle it. The doctor explained that the girl was under an ancient curse, and they had come for medicinal herbs that he carefully selected for her treatment. By the way, the ancient book mentions that eggs are also used as an antidote, and these eggs have healing power. The girl entertained the thought that she might never be free from the curse, but the doctor promised that he wouldn't give up until he cured her. Her eyes were filled with gratitude. Meanwhile, someone was watching them from around the corner. The couple strolled through the market, enjoying sweets as if nothing was happening. The doctor joked, asking the girl if she was afraid of gaining weight from eating sweets. In the company of this man, Ling Er momentarily forgot about everything that was happening. The guy said that she shouldn't be wearing his clothes anymore, and they went to a store to dress the girl. They were greeted by a friendly saleswoman who helped them try on clothes. After some time, the girl emerged wearing a green kimono. The doctor simply admired the girl and couldn't take his eyes off her. Once dressed, they set off for the mountains. The girl was very grateful to her savior, who was also happy that his efforts were not in vain. On the way, they encountered a man. He introduced himself as a priest and asked where he could find the nearest shelter. The doctor pointed him in the right direction, but noticed something strange in his companion's eyes. He approached her and tried to touch her to understand what was wrong, but the doctor grabbed his hand and told him not to do that. The doctor felt a dislike for such priests, as he believed they had become too arrogant. While Ling Er lived with the doctor, she studied medicine under him. She was a capable student, and the doctor loved testing her knowledge from the medical textbook. She could freely summarize any part of the textbook. It seemed like they had a deep connection as they admired each other. Because she was such a diligent student, Ling Er asked for a reward. The doctor was willing to do anything for her. The girl shyly expressed her desire to witness every sunrise with her savior. The doctor gladly accepted the offer, as it seemed that the girl meant more to him than he had initially realized. The girl was delighted to feel the mutual affection from this wonderful man. However, just then, there was a knock on the door, and a resident from the local village appeared, pleading for help. In tears, he begged them for assistance. The doctor attentively listened to the story about how, 3 days ago, out of nowhere, all the animals and people suddenly fell ill. A mysterious pandemic had struck the village. The villagers' only hope lay in the magical doctor. Without hesitation, the doctor prepared to set out, but Ling Er worried that the doctor might also contract the disease. However, healing and saving people was his calling, so he couldn't just sit idly by. The girl asked him to take her along as an assistant. She presumed that she had immunity. The doctor considered it a good idea, and besides, it provided an opportunity to test her resistance to diseases. Together, they embarked on a journey to save the villagers. When they arrived, they saw numerous sick people, suffering openly on the streets, desperate for help. The doctor suspected that they had been poisoned and cursed. The same priest they had encountered in the mountains approached them, and there was something sinister in his gaze. When the doctor asked why the priest had come here, he replied that he had come to save the people from the pandemic. The priest stated that the symptoms closely resembled something he had seen before, something akin to a poisonous spell. "Then you must know how to cure it," the doctor asked. The priest said it was simple. Everyone needed to drink eggs mixed with vinegar. The doctor decided to take Ling Er and go in search of the ingredients. He had read about a similar treatment in a book and knew the theory, but he hadn't applied it in practice yet. They decided to give it a try. After preparing the necessary medicine, they started administering it to the locals. After everyone had taken it, they waited for the results. The priest had no doubt that it would work. Suddenly, an elderly woman who had also taken the medicine started coughing. Soon after, everyone began writhing in pain, clutching their stomachs. The sick individuals started coughing up disgusting insects one after another. The unconventional treatment had indeed worked. After expelling the insects, they immediately felt much better. The recovered villagers eagerly crushed the harmful insects. Ling Er became frightened when she noticed the insects converging around her and clung to the doctor. The doctor quickly reassured her that the insects wouldn't harm her. However, it seemed strange to everyone that the insects were specifically circling around her. But the doctor remained unperturbed. He plucked the insects from his hair with a needle, causing them to fall to the ground, pierced and defeated. The healed villagers rejoiced and marveled at the white-haired healer. The doctor didn't forget to thank the priest, as his treatment had saved these people. The priest responded that it was his calling to help those in need. The doctor sent everyone to rest, promising to return with herbs for their speedy recovery, and set off on his journey with his assistant. The doctor noticed that when the curse was mentioned, the girl became extremely nervous. She confessed that she was scared, as it suggested that the person who had cursed her knew she was still alive and was likely searching for her. But the doctor reassured her, convincing her that he was by her side and that she had nothing to fear. However, someone was once again watching them from the shadows. The priest sat by the campfire, exhausted but content and grateful. But whom was he grateful to? Disgusting beetles, referring to them as his children. They had helped him locate Ling Er, whom he had been searching for a long time. He planned to retrieve her for his own purposes. Oh dear. Hidden beneath the mask of this priest was the dreadful sorcerer who had committed that terrible act against Ling Er. Under the doctor's control, Ling Er prepared herbal remedies for those afflicted by the curse. The doctor kept her busy with work, but when she complained about it, he merely said that he wanted her to quickly acquire medical skills and suggested testing her with a women's textbook. When asked why he wanted her to know all this, he replied that at least the next time she poisoned someone, she could cure them. The pseudo-priest approached one of the courtyards in the village. He kindly called a local resident, who unsuspectingly approached him, thinking he was a priest. Without expecting any harm from him, she warmly greeted him. The sorcerer, disguised as a priest, brought a small tray to the peasant woman's face. A repulsive locust jumped out and landed in her mouth. The innocent woman became a victim of the sorcerer, and her daughter came out of the house, but the woman was no longer herself. She was under the control of the insect inside her and the sorcerer's curse. With bloodlust, she attacked her own child. Do you want to know what happens next? Subscribe to our channel. We need you to be the one to reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. This is important so we can delight you with wonderful stories every day. Also, write in the comments what manhwa you'd like to see in the next videos. Thank you for being with us and see you in a bit.